today and gave me just a stroke of inspiration today. I really felt I was running with Alicia tonight. You know, Alicia's my fiance, and it really hit me that I could probably do more to support you guys. Because I was thinking about, you know, the YouTube subscribers that I have, and I honestly have to confess that I feel a little bit selfish and guilty, you know, by building a platform and only using it for myself. You know, like I used to share my platform, you know, with different people and that had different ideas, and sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't. You saw, you know, some situations that just kind of went left. And it really kind of caused me to kind of have to take pause in terms of how much I gave people access to, you know, because I just didn't think it was good for the community. But one of the things, you guys know, our core values in the Black Business School, one of our most important core values is we believe Black people should educate our own children, create our own jobs, and support Black businesses. So I thought about that and I said, okay, you know, how much is my action in alignment with the core values? You know, and a lot of my action is, well, we can always do better, you know, for ourselves and better for the world. So here's what I concluded, and I came up with this when I was talking to Alicia. I want to, every day, you know, when I do my podcast, I want to support your businesses. I want to promote and support Black-owned businesses every single day that I'm doing my podcast. You guys know I have a couple of podcasts. I do drboycetv.com, where I kind of talk about a lot of different issues that are happening in the world and in the Black community. Blackfinancialchannel.com and theblackfinancialchannel.com. It's pretty much all investing, all wealth, all finance, stuff like that. So I'm going to keep doing that. I'm not going to change. And I also have a Spotify podcast. You guys may not know that, but it's called the Dr. Boyce Breakdown. And a lot of times it's the audio version of whatever I'm doing on video. It's for the people that want to listen in their car. So here's what I want to do. We were trying to, you know, sort of think about creative ways to make people aware of the Instagram page for the Black Business School. And I said, well, maybe a great way to incentivize people to want to get engaged on the Black Business School Instagram page, which is the Real Black Business School, is to basically open up the platform for free advertising. I can't advertise everybody's business, right? You know, right off the bat. But what I figured I could do is, so, you know, put up a video, which I did. If you go to the Real Black Business School, there's a video up there where I said, look, just if you have a business, put the name of your business, put your URL for your business, and a one-sentence description of what your business does. And every day when I go live, I will go in and I will mention your business to all the people that are subscribed to the different platforms. And I have some good platforms. You know, Your Black World, we have almost 400,000 people. Dr. Boyce TV, we have about 232,000. And then the Black Financial Channel is at about 75,000. So, and these are real people. Like I don't want everybody on my platform. I don't invite everybody to follow me. I love to uninvite people to follow me because I don't want dumbasses on my platform. I don't like stupid people. I don't like, you know, people cooning and all this stuff. So, you know, these are quality Black people, intelligent Black people, which honestly, unfortunately, right now in the world, it doesn't necessarily make you the majority. You're a little bit the minority right now, but it's good people. You know, you guys follow through on what you believe in, and I want to be a man of my word and be, you know, and not just be a guy here talking. Like, I'm not trying to just be famous on the internet. I'm not trying to just, you know, run my mouth just to run my mouth. Like, I really want to accomplish something. Like, I really want us to move forward as a people. So I figured that helping you get money in your pocket will be a great way to support you. So like I said, so I'm not, you know, people have reached out all the time like, well, what's your charge for advertising? How much you charge for advertising? I thought about doing that, but I wasn't inspired to do that. I just said, you know what, let's just do this shit for free. So that's what it is. And there you go. So you're asking, am I a Democrat or a Republican? That just that question alone, somebody schooled at Ace Wolf on why that question isn't even a good question for somebody like me. I ain't a Democrat or a Republican, and the fact that you ask it as an either or, is pretty bad. That's like asking me would I rather eat rotten eggs for breakfast or a bowl of horse shit. I don't eat either one. I cook my own food, so I don't eat what Massa feeds me. I cook my own food. And so anyway, if you want to follow on Instagram, if you go to the Real Black Business School and follow, there's the video there. You can paste your name of your business, the URL, and one line describing your business. And every day when I go live, I will mention a black-owned business or 2 or 3 or 4. So in fact, let me show you how I can do this, because this is literally something that just came to mind. I was thinking about this as I was running with Alicia. And so let me show you guys what I'm talking about here. Okay, so it looks like a few people have already put their businesses in here. So the one at the top is 1518watches.com, at 1518watches, the value of having and wearing a watch, adding simplicity, convenience, craftsmanship, and reliability, an essential tool that shapes the way time is perceived. Okay, so 1518watches.com by Eric L. Beats. That's a great, and in fact, actually, if I see something where I can critique, your business a little bit, I will. Maybe if your URL is a little bit too long to remember or something like that, I'll do that. So with Eric, I'm going to say 1518watches.com. You didn't follow the instruction. The instruction is to put one sentence about your business. So if it gets too long, I can't read all of that. So just maybe put like one sentence, we make quality watches, etc. So 1518watches.com. The next one is the Jalen Law Collection, LLC, original artwork for the collector who appreciates thought-expanding content. And that's HTTP, okay, his URL is thejalenlawcollection.com, TheJalen, thejalenlawcollection.com for original artwork for the collector who appreciates thought-expanding content. Strength of a Woman, life coaching and group mentoring, inspiring, motivating, and educating girls 10 to 15 today so they can become women of strength tomorrow. www.iamstrengthofawoman.com. iamstrengthofawoman.com. That's a kind of a long URL, but it's cool. Like, this is fun, actually. Maybe that's what I can do. We can have it maybe like a little de facto like business class where when I mention your businesses, I can give you my instant thoughts on it. And also people will get a chance to hear about your business. 4 Cloud Travel Agency, the number 4. So I see that you put your Instagram here, 4 number 4 cloud _ travel _ agency. Okay, so I think if that's a URL, that's going to be a little bit tough. But I see that you have it there where people can click on it. Really, when you have a business and you want people to know about your business or remember your business, I think that your name should be something that's simple and memorable, but also something that people can spell very easily. Because what happens is if you get lucky and you get on the radio and you talk about your business and you say your URL, if you say it in the wrong way or misspell it, then people are going to, if you say it and it's not easy to spell, then people on the radio will misspell it. So like when I go on the Breakfast Club or whatever, I'll always in my head know like, okay, which URL do I want to mention? And I'll have one that people can hear and they won't misspell, because you don't want the whole world to hear about your business and then everybody miss it because they spelled it wrong. So I'll keep doing this. So every day I'll shout out some businesses directly off the Instagram page. So if you want me to shout out your business, just follow the Black Business School on Instagram. It's the Real Black Business School. And also you can follow me on Instagram at the Real Boyce Watkins. So there you go. So that was my evening thought, and I'm about to go to bed. So I hope you guys have a good night. And Vicky Dillard did a really interesting podcast today about Jane Elliott and T.I. And I was, y'all know T.I. is my favorite rapper. I love T.I. I think he's cool, and I think he's trying his best as an activist. But I'll tell you what, she made some real interesting points about, T.I. and Rolling kind of really celebrating Jane Elliott, like in a way that was almost like a little bit like ass kissing. I don't know if any of y'all saw it. Did y'all see it? Like he was really like talking about her like she was the one and only, the goatiest goat of all time. And I was kind of like, man, like, wow, like, and it makes me think about, like, have you ever seen times where like Jay-Z Jay-Z or some famous rapper will be like, they'll have a million guys in the hood that would give anything to hang out with them, like a million black people in the hood that would love to be around them, but because they're famous, they'll be hanging out with like some nerdy white guy in Silicon Valley or something. And like these white people who never really thought much about you, who aren't even from your community, they get your time, but your people can't get your time. You know, I'm not saying that they all do this. I'm not saying this at all, but it almost reminds me of how in like some of the third world countries, they'll have a beautiful beach, and they'll let the tourists go to the beach, but won't let the locals go to the beach. You know what I'm talking about? Like sometimes when black folks get like big and famous, they'll start, they'll get around and start big upping people who are not black, and almost completely ignoring black people that that are really like from their old neighborhood. So like T.I.'s my favorite rapper. I've always said that. He and Ice Cube, my two favorite rappers of all time. And I like the guy and I respect him. But when I heard him kind of talking about Jane Elliott, I remember thinking, even Jane Elliott corrected him. Even Jane Elliott stepped up, and he was like basically talking about her like she was the greatest legend of all time. And she's a good white woman. I mean, as far as white people go, like, she's probably the creme de la creme. But he was talking about her like she was like Malcolm X and Harriet Tubman all rolled up into one. Like there's something like amazing and extraordinary when a white person actually has enough common sense to understand what black people have gone through. Like, it's the same thing with Tim Wise. I remember, Tim Wise is a white guy who goes around and makes a lot of money speaking on black issues. And I don't have no problem with that. But I remember when Tim Wise would go places, it was like black people would almost like, it's almost like white supremacist in a way. Like they would almost worship him like a Jesus type figure. And, like, oh my God, it's so great that he's saying it. So you could have 1,000 black people saying the same damn thing, right? You got Francis Cress Welsing, was out there doing the damn thing, speaking on these issues in a major way. And I'm not going to even pretend like, T.I. wouldn't have given Francis Cress Welsing respect. But I do think that there's some kind of like white premium or whiteness premium that white folks get when they like keep it real on racism, or like when they say something that black people like, we put them on a pedestal. Like Bill Clinton, like when Bill Clinton came along and they start saying that he was black and he's the first black president. And then in fact I think Roland Martin was sitting with Jane Elliott, and he actually said, you black, welcome to the family, you black. And I'm like, no, she's not black. She's a white woman. And she knows she's a white woman. You need to know she's a white woman. And what was interesting, if you listen to that interview, I kid you not, every time T.I. put her on a pedestal, she would take herself off. She would be like, no, calm down. Like you ain't got to get too excited about, and then there was like this really bad picture. The picture was a really bad look because he's like on her, like kissing her and smiling. And she's got this real serious look on her face. Like, I don't even want anybody touching me right now. So it was just real interesting to kind of see that. And I think you should hear what Vicky Dillard has to say on it, because she kind of might have a point. It's almost like, or when you think about athletes that will go marry a white woman, and, when they're in the NFL, and she'll be like the love of his life and everything else. But he done met 10,000 black women that were 10 times better and completely ignored them. But now that white people have accepted him, or now that he's in a different space, it's like suddenly whiteness is like, that's the gold standard, for you. And so I just wonder, I would just really wonder if Jane Elliott was a black woman, if she was just a regular black woman who was out speaking, really good truth, who was really speaking something, really substantive in terms of race or whatever, would that person be received in the same way? That's what it is. Now, what do you mean turn your volume down? Is my volume too loud? If my volume's too loud, let me know. I don't know what you mean by turn the volume down. Damn, you really a hater of hood dudes. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, man, did you see the KFC ad? No, I didn't see it. What was in the KFC ad? You gotta tell me about that. All right, guys. So anyway, no, sorry, man. I don't know how to turn the volume down, but you can change the channel. So feel free to go to another channel if you don't like what I got to say. All right. So the other point that I would make on that, whole Jane Elliott thing is that I think that as black people, I think that we can show respect to a Jane Elliott without it appearing like we are, just jocking people just because they don't hate us as much as other white people do. I really think that that's a form of white supremacy, and I think that and I think even a Jane Elliott notices that. Like, I think that even she's like, wow, these people are so starving for love and respect that anybody that's nice to them, they just fall in love with us, right? Anybody that even shows them, it's almost like a hooker or something that's been so used to being abused and disrespected by her pimp that, like, you take her ass to Burger King and she wants to marry you, or she thinks you're the greatest man in the world. Like that to me is like what it makes me like black folks. I think that with our self-esteem being so low, we get real excited when a white person even acknowledges us. Oh Lord, oh, preach, go ahead, preach. He be saying the same shit that 10,000 black people just said. We be like, oh yeah, woo, I love it. We're just, it's like too much. It's too much. So anyway. What do you think about the blessing circles? You know what? The blessing circles, which these are blessing looms, they talk about them. The thing about the blessing looms is really interesting to me is that people are taking these blessing looms, and the looms are real complex at first. Like, you're like, wait, I'm on the outside of the flower. I'm a fire, then I'm a water, then I'm a earth, then I'm a, it's crazy. And then the loom splits, and then, but basically, if you take a minute to kind of understand how they operate, here's the deal. When you talk about the looms are being falsely advertised as susus. I'm not here to tell you that you should not participate in a loom. That's up to you. It's your money. Do your thing. I'm just here to inform you and give you information so that you know what you're dealing with, right? So here's the deal. A loom is not a susu. Let's make that clear. People use the language of susus and blessings and church and flowers and love and community. They use all that language to get you involved in whatever thing they got going on. I'm not a fan of that. I feel like that's a little misleading. A loom is not a susu. A susu is a community savings vehicle where it's real basic. What you put in is what you get out. It's real simple. There's no financial math. It's like if I take this pen and I put this pen in my pocket and I reach in my pocket, how many pens am I going to pull out? If my pocket's empty and I put this pen in my pocket and then I say, okay, now I'm going to pull out all the pens in my pocket. How many pens am I going to pull out? If I put one in my pocket, I can only pull one pen out, right? You get that? That's a susu. Susu means basically whatever you put in, you're going to get out. A loom is some like biblical magical shit on the surface. A loom does this. A loom says, I'm going to put one pen in my pocket and then I'm going to reach in my pocket later and I'm going to pull out 10 pens, right? And so how does that work? How can I, pull 10 ink pens out if I only have one? Well, you can't. You can't, right? Like, that's the first thing. Like, shit that's not reality, right? But you'll hear people talk about a loom where they'll say, yeah, I joined my friend Susu. No, you didn't join a Susu. You joined the loom. Let's just keep it 100. You joined the loom, and they'll say, oh, I put in $200 and I got $1,600 back. I think it works in multiples of 8, if I'm not mistaken. And you'd be like, well, how did you, wait, so you put in 200 and you got 1,600 back? They'll be like, yeah. So that creates the excitement. That's what brings people in, right? That's how things work. But when you dig, but here's the thing. You got to go back to common fucking sense. Common sense says that 200, if everybody puts in 200, everybody can't get 1,600 out. Jesus ain't printing extra dollar bills inside the loom that's being passed out. Like that can't happen. The money has to come from somewhere, right? If I put a pen in my pocket and I say I'm gonna pull out 8 ink pens, somebody had to put 7 more pens in my pocket. So the question to ask is, where's that extra money coming from? I can tell you, it's very basic. Well, there's a one requirement for a loom that holds it together. One requirement. That is that anybody who joins a loom must recruit 2 people. You must bring in 2 people, and then those 2 people must bring in 2 people, and then those 2 people must bring in 2 people. And what happens is you gain what is called exponential growth. You get 2, and then 2 to the 2 squared, 2 to the third, 2 to the fourth, 2 to the fifth, 2 to the sixth, and so you're going 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. Right? You're getting into crazy mathematical exponential growth, almost like the way the coronavirus is spreads, right? Where the reason that the loom is illegal and it is defined as a pyramid scheme is because the loom, by its very definition, is not sustainable, because eventually you run out of people. The reason that people can put in 200 and get out 1,600 is because the new people are paying the old people. Because if all of us come in and we all, bring in 2 extra people, and all those 2 extra people put in their money, then they pile up the new people's money and they give it to the person in the middle, right? And that's so that's the thing about the loom that's interesting, is it's not like every pyramid scheme, every Ponzi scheme. People make money in every pyramid scheme. People make money in every Ponzi scheme. When Bernie Madoff went to prison for 1,000 years for running a Ponzi scheme, everybody that invested with Madoff did not lose their money. A lot of people made a killing investing with Bernie Madoff. The problem was that Madoff was paying the old investors with the money from the new investors. And so the people that prosecuted, the people that wanted him to go to prison, were the people who were the last odd man out, the last suckers to arrive to the party. Right? Now, if you got there early, then you probably, there are people that made millions, maybe over $1 billion from investing with Bernie Madoff. Right? But there's a lot of people who lost their life savings. There are lots of people who lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. There are people that lost millions of dollars. So, here's my thought with a loom, right? Because I got friends that are involved in different levels, and I don't judge. I'm not here to tell people how to live their life. I just like informing people. I'm kind of like Alicia says, it's solipsistic. I think that's where there is no truth. I don't know if that's the right term, but or maybe agnostic, or I try to be non-judgmental. Like, I believe morality is relative, right? So I'm not going to tell you that it's right or wrong. Here's what I'm going to say, though. With a loom, what I see is, to me, it's like going to the casino, right? You go to the casino, some of y'all going to win, some of y'all going to lose. People go to the casino all the time. I don't think there's anything unethical about going to the casino, right? As long as you know what it is, I think that's the key. Now, if you go to the casino and you think that you're guaranteed to make money, or I'm playing blackjack and I have a system that's guaranteed to win every time, well, that's not true. That's not how mathematics works. That's not statistically possible. There is no blackjack scheme that's going to allow you to always make money unless you're cheating, right? Now, going back to the loom, who are the people that are guaranteed to make money in the loom? I believe it's the people who cheat. Meaning, if you set the shit up, like if you're the person who sets up the loom, it's very easy for you to hook up your friends and say, look, we're going to go ahead. We're going to start this loom. We're going to all get some people to join. We're going to put ourselves in the middle, and all those new people are going to bring money in. We're going to all get paid. And by the time the shit breaks down and all the extra flowers that are splitting out start to dismantle, we'll be long gone. We'll be off doing something else. Right? So really in Ponzi schemes and pyramid schemes, the people that do well are the people who get there first. But if you get there, if you're like, at the third, fourth, fifth layer, then there is a risk that the whole thing could break down, because it is going to break down at some point. The question is when. Okay, does that make sense? Does that help you? But a loom is not a susu, so stop calling susus looms. That's not true. Like don't be associating ancient Africa and the Caribbean culture with this. This is just it's a standard pyramid scheme, and that's what it is. Everybody doesn't lose money in a pyramid scheme. That's why they work. If everybody lost money every time, then no one would ever join. the reason that people join is because money. Professor Andrew Lowe at MIT wrote a research paper where he explained that money affects your brain the same way cocaine affects your brain. It literally affects the same region of your brain as cocaine. So people get excited over money. Money makes people fucking excited. So when you start your loom and somebody's like, oh shit, I put in $200 and pulled out $1,600. Well, you got free advertising because they're going to go tell everybody. And then next thing you know, all their friends are going to say, well, I want some too, right? So they're all showing up in droves. Everybody's putting in their money. And for a while, it can work okay. But that's why Bernie Madoff did so well. Bernie Madoff, when Bernie Madoff was making sure that his first investors got paid well, so his first investors are coming in. Remember, this is a loom, not a susu. This is those blessing flowers. This is not a susu. I'm going to keep saying that for anybody that comes in late who thinks I'm talking about a susu. This is not a susu. This is a loom. Two different things. A loom is a pyramid scheme. I'm not dissing, not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you what it is. So with Bernie Madoff, what he was doing was, if you've got a steady flow of new investors who are hearing about all the money that's being made and they're all eager to give you money and double up and double down and triple down, well, what you're able to do is take really good care of your advertisers. Your advertisers are the people that are going to get paid. So they're coming in, they're popping in 200, they're coming back with 1,600. They go out and they tell 20, 30, 40, 50 people. And then all those people tell other people. And the next thing you know, you've got this avalanche of new money coming in. And as long as you keep the avalanche of new money coming in, then you can keep on paying out. You can keep the thing going. But like I said, eventually, though, it falls apart. And two areas where a loom would fall apart that I would be very wary of and thoughtful about is one is the basic just musical chairs part of it, where, eventually you get to the point where somebody doesn't put up their money or somebody doesn't get their two people or, whatever, right? Because they can't find anybody else because everybody's been pitched this, right? It spreads virally. It spreads just like coronavirus does. The bigger problem, though, in the breakdown is you got all these people that are involved in this thing that you're doing, right? You told two people, those two people told two people, those two people told two people. You go back 3-4 layers back, you're talking about 64, 128, 256 people that are all in on your scheme. So here's the deal. If you are the originator of this, right? So let's say that you are, that everybody knows I'm going to go join JoJo's, blessing loom, right? Because JoJo's make sure everybody's getting paid. Well, if the feds decide, like here's what happens. So some little old lady, puts all her Jesus money into your loom, and she loses her money. So she then goes to the authorities and reports JoJo's loom, and so the feds decide they want to make an example out of somebody. Well, they always go after that kingpin first. So if you're JoJo and you're running JoJo's blessing loom, and you've got all these complaints of people saying, I gave my money and I didn't get my money back. Well, guess who's on the news in handcuffs getting dragged out of their house in front of their kids and on their way to prison for 20, 30 years. White people don't play when it comes to their fucking money. They just don't. When they lock people up for financial crimes, they lock you up longer than if you commit murder. There is a black woman down in Memphis who was a congresswoman who was accused of stealing $600,000. I don't know the lady. I don't know what she did or did not do, but I doubt she did anything much worse than what the white people do. I don't know. I mean, it could have been something as simple as maybe she didn't even know the rules. Maybe she spent the money on things she wasn't supposed to spend money on, but it doesn't matter. They're going to label it in a certain way. And I think she's facing 20 years in prison. So that to me is the bigger concern I would have. I'm not really concerned if you know about the risk. I'm not really concerned about you losing your little money, right? You put in $200, you don't get it back. Okay, well, it's life, right? You that could happen at the casino. I think the bigger challenge would be is if you were recruiting people and somehow they find some way to link you into some sort of conspiracy, some sort of RICO charge. I don't know if you know about those fucking RICO charges they do in New York, organized crime, how they took down the whole mafia. Like the mafia was running a multi-billion-dollar enterprise in New York. I mean, they were running all the construction in all of New York. Donald Trump had to deal with the mob. Nobody could get anything done without dealing with the mob. Like, you end up, dead because they control the unions and all this other stuff. They brought down the heads of all 5 of the major families. With the Gambinos and the. Tell me the names of the mob families. I can't remember. They had the Gambino family and a few of the Lucchese family and all. And they took them all down like at once just by proving that they were working together. So I just kind of think about this, and I'm thinking about all the creative ways that white people have for sending black people to prison. And I could just see them, if they decided to do something that was going to really get a whole lot of attention, saying, you know what, we just heard about this multi-million-dollar blessing loom being run by this crime family, right? And really like making that into a thing. Like, oh, they swindled people for millions of dollars. You know how they like to just make the story, like they like to embellish the story, and I just don't want to see that happen to anybody, man. So that's why I would say be careful. But honestly, when I really thought about it from an ethical standpoint, legality is not the same as morality. That which is legal or illegal is not necessarily moral or immoral. I don't believe in letting the law decide what your morality should be, because we know we live in an immoral nation. But when I thought about it that way, I was like, if somebody participates, I mean, maybe they'll make money. And if you make money, then why not do it again? I don't care. But if but the bigger problem is just that whole legal issue, man. Like, just messing with the feds, they can ruin your life. I knew a lady who, I don't know what she did. She went to Harvard. She was really smart. And she used to hang with Michelle Obama and stuff like that. And she got caught up in something with a grant. She got a government grant, and she misallocated the money for the grant. And they took this lady away from her husband and her children and sent her to prison for 10 years. And when you do that Fed time, they don't do like early parole and all this other stuff. Like, you really got to do that time. And I feel so bad for that lady. I mean, I know you might say, well, why would you feel bad for a criminal? Well, because I'm smart enough to know that a lot of people that go to prison ain't really criminals. That they're not any more criminal than a lot of regular people. They might have made a mistake. They might have done something wrong. They might have been the fall guy, in a political situation. I don't know. I just didn't think it was right. Her kids gonna grow up without their mother. So just be careful. That's all I'll say. Just be careful, y'all. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna go. Have a good night. And like I said, if you want us to advertise your business, we're advertising black businesses for free. Just follow the Black Business School on Instagram. Find that post and put your business name and URL underneath that video where I talk about advertising the black businesses. And I will shout out 2 or 3 black businesses every time I go live on any of my YouTube channels.